Today Matters by John C. Maxwell. Ever woken up and immediately knew you were doomed? You know that feeling. Your eyes flutter open, and before your feet even hit the floor, something's off. Maybe there's gum cemented into your hair from last night. You stub your toe on that skateboard you swore you'd put away. And right then, in that split second of pain, you just know deep in your bones that this day is going to be an absolute disaster. There's this famous children's book about a kid named Alexander who has exactly that kind of day. And let's be real here, we've all been Alexander. More times than we'd like to admit, right? Our days don't gently unfold like we planned. Instead, they explode into chaos. We collapse into bed feeling drained, like we've been running on a hamster wheel all day, getting nowhere fast, secretly whispering to ourselves, please, let tomorrow be different. But here's the twist. What if the secret to transforming your tomorrows isn't about crossing your fingers and hoping really hard? What if it's actually about mastering today? That's the game-changing insight from John C. Maxwell, one of the sharpest minds in leadership today. In his eye-opening book, Today Matters, he reveals something successful people have known forever but rarely talk about. Success isn't some magical place you arrive at someday. It's not a lottery ticket, a secret handshake, or a single lucky break that changes everything overnight. Success is actually a process, a daily one. In the next few minutes, we're going on a journey together through Maxwell's philosophy. We're going to tear down the fairy tales about success that keep us stuck and replace them with something real, a framework built not on pie-in-the-sky 5-year plans, but on the small, powerful choices you make every single day. By the time we're done, you'll understand the 12 daily practices that Maxwell promises can actually guarantee your future success. This isn't just about squeezing more into your calendar. It's about transforming your entire life, one day at a time. So if you've ever felt like your days are slipping through your fingers like sand, and you're hungry for that missing piece to turn chaos into clarity, stick with me. Because the secret you've been searching for isn't hidden in some distant future. It's right here, right now, in today. Most of us are on this endless quest for something we call success. But what even is that? We've got all these half-baked ideas floating around in our heads, fed to us by movies, Instagram influencers, and stories of people who seemingly became millionaires while sleeping. John C. Maxwell argues that most of these ideas are completely wrong. They're myths that send us chasing mirages in the desert. Take this one. Some people genuinely believe success is impossible for them. They look at the mountain, decide it's too steep, plop down at the base, and spend their energy criticizing everyone who's actually climbing. You've heard them. Who even wants success anyway, especially when someone they think is less deserving makes it to the top? One writer called this attitude the one unpardonable sin against your fellow humans. Then there are the treasure hunters. These folks think success is mystical, that somewhere out there is a magic formula, a silver bullet, a secret password that unlocks everything. This is why we buy fad diets and get-rich-quick schemes. We want the trophy without the training. But, as Maxwell points out, you don't win Olympic gold with a couple weeks at the gym. Every remarkable career is constructed brick by brick, representative by rep, day by day. And oh, the myth of luck. We see some actor who got discovered while serving coffee and think, that could totally be me. But for every one of those fluky stories, there are thousands of people who practiced their craft in obscurity for a decade just to get one shot. Banking on luck is like planning your retirement around winning the lottery. Maxwell nails it. When it comes to success, you're way better off hopping to it than hoping for it. Finally, there's the one big break fantasy. We tell ourselves, if only my boss would notice me, if only I had funding for my idea, if only I got that one opportunity, everything would fall into place. But here's the brutal truth. If you haven't done the daily work to prepare yourself, that opportunity will blow right past you. Legendary basketball coach John Wooden said it perfectly. When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. These myths, that success is impossible, mystical, lucky, or just one big moment away, keep us looking everywhere except the one place where success is actually built. And where's that? Right here, in today. Maxwell's central, life-altering idea is this: the secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. Simple sentence, profound truth. Think about how weird our relationship with time really is. We constantly obsess over yesterday, either celebrating our glory days like the high school quarterback who peaked at 17, or torturing ourselves over past mistakes, replaying them like a bad movie on loop. We also fantasize about tomorrow, believing that somehow, magically, everything will just get better. We've got this fuzzy hope for the future, but zero concrete strategy to make it happen. And while we're busy staring at yesterday and daydreaming about tomorrow, we completely ignore today. We say things like, just killing time, without realizing that time is literally the stuff life is made of. Today is the only time we actually possess, yet we let it evaporate like morning mist. This is where Maxwell introduces a philosophy from his hero, the legendary John Wooden. Coach Wooden never told his players to obsess over winning championships. Instead, he gave them one simple instruction: make each day your masterpiece. What a concept! Not your week, not your year, not your entire life, just today. Make today a masterpiece. So how do we actually do that? How do we stop our days from crumbling and start crafting them into something beautiful? Maxwell says it boils down to two essential ingredients: decisions and discipline. Think of it this way: good decisions set your destination. Daily discipline gets you there. One without the other is useless. A good decision without discipline is just a fantasy, with no follow-through. And discipline without a good decision is just exhausting yourself with no real purpose. But when you combine them, that's when magic happens. The most successful people, Maxwell discovered, are those who make the right decisions early and then manage those decisions daily. This insight led him to develop what he calls the daily dozen, 12 critical areas of life where you need to make one powerful decision and then manage it with discipline every single day. This isn't about piling 12 more things onto your already overflowing to-do list. It's about settling these issues in your heart once and for all, so you're not constantly second-guessing yourself. Let's walk through these areas, not as a boring checklist, but as a blueprint for how a well-lived day is actually constructed. It all starts with our inner world, the foundation that shapes everything else. First up is attitude. Maxwell says your attitude at the beginning of any task affects its outcome more than anything else. It's the difference between seeing a day full of possibilities versus a day full of problems. He learned this at 17 when his basketball coach made him team captain, not because he was the best player, but because he had the best attitude and had lifted everyone around him. That day, he made a lifelong commitment. I'm going to keep a positive attitude and use it to influence others. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing how you respond to them. Maxwell shares the incredible story of cyclist Lance Armstrong. After being diagnosed with advanced cancer that had spread to his lungs and brain, doctors gave him less than a 3% chance of survival. It would have been completely understandable to collapse into despair. But Armstrong made a conscious choice. He believed that being depressed would sabotage his fight. He chose hope, because, as he said, hope is the only antidote to fear. That positive attitude didn't just help him survive, it fueled his comeback to win the Tour de France 5 consecutive times. Your attitude can literally transform obstacles into opportunities. Hand in hand with attitude is thinking. Maxwell believes that, quote, is the original source of all wealth, all success, all material gain. Your life is essentially a printout of your thoughts. He tells the cautionary tale of the A&P Grocery Company, once the largest retail organization on the planet. For generations, its leaders were brilliant, innovative thinkers who constantly adapted to what customers wanted. But then a new leader took over who stopped thinking for himself. His entire approach was simply asking, quote, "What would Mr. Hartford, the previous leader, do?" He tried to preserve the past instead of creating the future. That refusal to think critically and adapt led the once mighty company into a slow, painful decline. Good thinking gives you a massive advantage. To develop it, Maxwell made another early decision. I will think on things that add value to myself and others. This means carving out time every day just to think, finding a quiet place, capturing your ideas, and surrounding yourself with other sharp thinkers. It's about being intentional, not reactive. The third pillar is faith. Now, for Maxwell, this is his Christian faith, which he says is the most important thing in his life. But he explains its power in universal terms. Faith gives you perspective that transcends your circumstances, allowing you to trust in advance what will only make sense looking back. It provides a deep well of peace and strength when life throws you into the storm. As he wisely notes, where there is no faith in the future, there is no power in the present. He tells the deeply moving story of Evelyn Husband, wife of Rick Husband, commander of the Space Shuttle Columbia. Just days after the tragedy that killed her husband, she found the strength to face the world, not because she understood what happened, but because her faith gave her solid ground when everything else had shattered. Her daily discipline was trusting in a plan bigger than her own understanding. Finally, our inner world is anchored by values. Values are your North Star. They give you direction when you're lost in the fog. Methods change, situations change, but your core values should be your constants. The corporate scandals that have rocked our world, Enron, WorldCom, and others, are all cautionary tales of what happens when people lose their internal compass. They chase profit over integrity, and the results are catastrophic. Maxwell decided, I will lead others based on the values I embrace. This means first identifying what you actually believe in, then reviewing those values every single day, measuring your actions against them. He shares a personal story about being invited to a special White House meeting with the president, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The only problem? It conflicted with a prior speaking commitment he'd made to a company. His team scrambled for solutions. Maybe he could videotape his speech? But in the end, his value of commitment won out. He asked the company representative, "Which would you rather have? Me live or on tape?" They wanted him live. So he turned down the White House. Choosing to live by your values means you may not always get what you want in the moment, but you'll always be the person you want to be. Once your inner world, your attitude, thinking, faith, and values is rock solid, you can turn your attention to the actions that propel you forward. This begins with priorities. Maxwell says this has contributed more to his success than almost anything else. He discovered the Pareto principle, the idea that 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results. This was a light bulb moment for him. He realized he was spending most of his time on things he wasn't even good at, like administration and counseling. So he made the decision, I will prioritize my life and give focus and energy to those things that give the highest return. This means understanding that time is our most precious resource. You can't manufacture more of it, so you have to be ruthless about how you spend it. To figure out your priorities, he suggests asking 3 questions. What is required of me? What gives me the greatest return? And what gives me the greatest reward? By focusing on these, you learn the noble art of leaving other things undone. Maxwell uses the cautionary tale of Howard Hughes, the billionaire who inherited a massive fortune and had every opportunity imaginable. But he had no focus. He bounced from movie making to aviation to real estate, never committing to anything long enough to achieve true mastery or fulfillment. He devoted a little of himself to everything and ultimately committed fully to nothing. Priorities mean nothing without commitment. This is what gives you tenacity. Maxwell tells the heartbreaking story of baseball legend Mickey Mantle. Mantle may have been the most naturally gifted player of all time, superhuman speed, jaw-dropping power. But he lacked commitment off the field. He never did the rehab work for his injuries. He drank heavily, shortening his career, and wasting his God-given talent. He admitted it himself late in life. God gave me a great body to play with, and I didn't take care of it. I didn't work hard at it. Talent alone is never enough. Commitment is what carries you through when things get brutal. Maxwell's own commitment was tested when, at just 29 years old, he had to lead a $1 million building program for his church. Everything that could go wrong did. Popular staff members had to be let go. 15% of the congregation walked out in protest, and the biggest financial supporter quit the church. Maxwell says if he hadn't made the commitment early on, "If something is worth doing, I will commit myself to carrying it through," he never would have survived the pressure. The final action-oriented practice is growth. This is the secret to unlocking your potential. Maxwell shares that for years he was busy and working hard, but he wasn't intentionally growing. Then a mentor asked him a simple question: "What is your plan for personal growth?" Maxwell realized he didn't have one. He'd fallen for the myth that growth is automatic. That day, he made a life-altering decision: "I will develop and follow a personal growth plan for my life." Growth is the only way to prevent stagnation. It's how you ensure you don't get used up before your time. The story of U.S. Surgeon General Richard Carmona is absolutely stunning. He was a high school dropout from Harlem, a street kid on the edge of delinquency. But after joining the Army, he committed to personal growth with incredible intensity. He earned his GED, then an associate's degree, then a bachelor's, then became a registered nurse, then went to medical school and graduated at the top of his class. He never stopped. He became a trauma surgeon, a SWAT officer, and earned a master's in public health. Why? Because he felt like he was making up for lost time. Growth, for him, wasn't an event. It was a daily discipline. With our inner world and our actions aligned, we can focus on the great cornerstones of a well-lived life. First is health. For many years, Maxwell confesses, this was his biggest area of neglect. He had endless energy and never got sick, so he simply took his health for granted. Then, at a company Christmas party, he had a massive heart attack. It was a brutal wake-up call. His doctor told him that men who survive an early heart attack and learn from it often live longer than those who never have one. The key was making a decision and sticking to it. At 51, he finally decided, "I will take good care of myself by exercising and eating right." It's a daily battle for him, but he knows that we often spend our health to get wealth when we're young, then we'd gladly pay all our wealth to get our health back when we're old. It's easier to maintain good health than to regain it. Next is family. Maxwell watched many of his friends and colleagues' marriages fall apart, even ones that seemed rock solid. It caused him to redefine what success truly meant. He decided, success means having those closest to me love and respect me the most. This put his wife and children at the very center of his life's purpose. A family provides stability, a safe haven in the storm, a crucible where character is forged, and a treasure chest of our most important relationships. He tells the powerful story of Karen Hughes, once called the most powerful woman in American history. As a top counselor to President George W. Bush, she was at the absolute pinnacle of her career. But she walked away from it all. Why? Because her teenage son needed his roots back in Texas. She chose her family over her career, recognizing that the window of opportunity to be there for her son was just as precious and fleeting as her time in the White House. The third cornerstone is relationships. Maxwell shares a shocking comment from a psychology professor. If you have one true friend in life, you are very fortunate. If you have two, it is highly unusual. This stunned him. He'd always been friendly, but this made him realize he needed to be more intentional. So he decided, I will initiate and make an investment in relationships with others. The cautionary tale here is Armand Hammer, the tycoon behind Occidental Petroleum. He built a massive empire and carefully crafted public image, but behind the scenes, he was a user of people. He used his wives for their money and connections, neglected his own children, and treated employees like disposable tools. When he died, his funeral was poorly attended. His own son didn't even show up. He'd achieved worldly success but died utterly alone. Life's greatest experiences almost always involve other people. The best way to build relationships is to add value to others, put them first, and serve them gladly. The final cornerstone is finances. Money, Maxwell explains, won't make you happy, but debt will absolutely make you miserable. The true value of money is that it gives you options. For years, Maxwell admits, he was the opposite of his brother. His brother saved every penny. He just wanted to have fun. But he eventually realized he needed a plan. He and his wife Margaret made a decision. We will sacrifice today so that we can have options tomorrow. They created a simple formula. Give 10%, invest 10%, and live on 80%. He tells the story of financial guru Sue Zorman, who started her career as a waitress, dreaming of opening a restaurant. After a dishonest broker lost all her borrowed seed money, she didn't give up. She decided to become a broker herself and master the world of finance. But even after becoming successful, she lost her way, running up huge debts to live a high life she wasn't actually earning. It took hitting rock bottom to realize she needed to change. Today, she's a multimillionaire who lives modestly, not because she has to, but because she chooses to. She has options. And this brings us to the final and perhaps most fulfilling of the daily dozen, generosity. This is what gives life significance. Maxwell contrasts the life of stingy billionaire J. Paul Getty with that of Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's. Getty was so tight with his money that when his own grandson was kidnapped, he refused to pay the ransom until the kidnappers cut off the boy's ear. Dave Thomas, on the other hand, was an adopted child who never forgot where he came from. He used his success and platform to become a tireless advocate for adoption, creating a foundation that has helped thousands of children find loving homes. He understood a profound truth. Greatness is not defined by what a person receives, but by what that person gives. The decision to live a generous life, I will live to give, is what turns success into significance. It's about adding value to others every single day. And there you have it, the Daily Dozen. It's not a magic formula. It's a roadmap. It's a commitment to making today, this very day, a masterpiece. Because if you take care of today, tomorrow will take care of itself. As we zoom out and look at the big picture John C. Maxwell has painted for us in Today Matters, what's truly striking is its profound simplicity. In a world screaming about life hacks, overnight success, and finding that one secret that changes everything, Maxwell's voice is refreshingly calm and steady, a reminder of a timeless truth. The life you want is built in the small, seemingly insignificant moments of your day. The book's most powerful lesson, for me, is the radical shift in focus it demands. We're a culture obsessed with destinations. We want to arrive at success, achieve the goal, cross the finish line, and throw our hands up in victory. But Maxwell gently turns our gaze away from the distant horizon and brings it back to the ground right beneath our feet. He teaches us that the journey is the destination. The way you live today isn't just a stepping stone to a better future. It is your future, being created in real time, right now. When you truly internalize this, everything changes. The pressure to make one massive, life-altering decision fades away. Instead, it's replaced by the quiet confidence that comes from making one small, right choice, then another, then another. The question transforms from, what grand thing must I do to be successful, to, what one thing can I do today to make this day a masterpiece? This is incredibly empowering, especially when you feel overwhelmed. The idea of mastering 12 different areas of life simultaneously can feel intimidating. But that's not the point. The point is to start. Pick one. What if, for the next 30 days, you decided to focus only on your attitude? What if every morning you made a conscious choice to look for possibilities instead of problems? Or what if you focused on growth and committed to reading for just 15 minutes every single day? It seems small, almost insignificant, but that, Maxwell argues, is where the magic of compounding kicks in. Just as small, consistent deposits in a bank account grow into a fortune over time, small, consistent deposits in yourself grow into a life of success and significance. This book is a powerful antidote to the regret of yesterday and the anxiety of tomorrow. It's a call to be present, to be intentional, and to take responsibility for the only piece of time you truly own, right now. The stories of failure, like Howard Hughes and Mickey Mantle, aren't there to make us feel bad. They're cautionary tales reminding us of the high cost of neglect. And the stories of triumph, like Lance Armstrong and Richard Carmona, aren't tales of superheroes. They're stories of ordinary people who made extraordinary commitments to their daily practice. That was a deep dive into the summary of Today Matters by John C. Maxwell. We've walked through the core principles and stories today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. You can see the layout, the major cities, the rivers, but you can't feel the sun on your skin or taste the local food. The real magic happens when you travel there yourself. This summary is designed to help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, if you've felt that pull toward a more intentional way of living, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely transform the way you see your day, and ultimately, your life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring ideas from the world's most influential books, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.